Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. What an extraordinary time we find ourselves in as you look around the world. Good and bad, but tonight I'm going to focus on the good. It's a privilege to be surrounded by so many remarkable community leaders, business leaders, cultural icons, entrepreneurs, innovators, and builders. I grew up in Canada in the 1980s when there weren't many Latin families. TLN, I believe, was in its early days. And teachers would look at my name, they'd look at me, imagine me in grade 1, grade 2, and they'd call me Mario, if I was lucky, or Claudia. It's a reflection that around the country, there weren't many Hispanic Canadians, and at the time, fewer than 50,000 Latin Americans were in Canada, fewer than 50,000 in the early 1990s, and that's countrywide. It was a lonely place growing up from that cultural perspective. My sandwiches at school were as some of you can appreciate, my sandwiches looked a little bit weird to the other kids. And I'm grateful to the other communities that welcomed me, supported me, and contributed to my resilience. They gave me protection. Since those early days, our community, the Hispanic community, has grown from fewer than 200,000 people in the mid-1990s to more than 1.2 million people today. Worldwide, the Hispanic community is a force. We talk about global trade. What an advantage to have 1.2 million Hispanic Canadians in this country when there are almost 700 million Latin Americans around the world. Our community really is a force to open up those global gateways. And then in this country, an entire generation of builders, entrepreneurs, artists, and public servants, senior leaders across the country, people who've woven their stories into Canada's national fabric. As innings, to use a baseball analogy, still early innings, but our contributions to this country, the Hispanic community's contributions to this country, are just beginning. And what an impact our community has already made, including the 20 extraordinary individuals we celebrate this evening, nominees and award recipients, from St. John's to Calgary, from the research labs of Perimeter Institute in Kitchener-Waterloo to the stages of hot dogs, from unionizing farm workers to founding Canada's first Latino-led record label in Alberta. Lawyers, educators, filmmakers, entrepreneurs, each building something meaningful, opening doors, and bringing others along. Your stories remind us of the contributions of this community to the strength of our nation, to the country we've become, and more importantly, to the country that we are becoming as we look into the future. Communities matter. I lived it. It's more than common purpose or shared heritage. Community provides strength. It offers safety when times are tough. It opens doors to opportunities we wouldn't otherwise have access to. Communities protect us when we're vulnerable, and they teach us, through the support that we receive, how to support others. That's what other communities gave me in the 1980s, and that's what the communities I'm a part of today, the networks I'm a part of today, including the Hispanic community, fill me with. In a simple word, resilience. That's what angel investors in the NACO community, the National Angel Capital Organizations community, provide to entrepreneurs and what inspires us about our work at NACO. And that's what this room represents here tonight. We lift each other up, we keep each other moving forward, and that's what makes us stronger as a nation. I come from an entrepreneurial family. My parents immigrated to Canada from South America. Venezuela is my mother country, and around the time that NACO was being established, more than 25 years ago, I stepped into a leadership role to turn around my family's struggling business. It was a tough journey. I've lived firsthand the extraordinary sacrifices, highs and lows, on the road to success and achievement. And although we never raised angel capital or venture capital at the time, largely because it didn't exist, but even if it did, we didn't know how to access it. We didn't have those access to that network. And like many newcomers, many underrepresented founders, many entrepreneurs, we didn't know where to begin. As some of you will know that are building businesses, capital is the oxygen of business. Without it, you can't grow very fast. It makes the journey much harder than what it needs to be. And it's difficult to reach your full potential as an entrepreneur and as a company without the oxygen of capital. We hear a lot about raising capital from friends and family, but the reality is that most people don't have access to an aunt that can write them a $100,000 check or a neighbor that will, drop them $50,000 to get their company off the ground. It's just not the reality for most people, which is why we exist and why the work that we do is so meaningful to me. It's what inspired me to join NACO. The work we do around the country is nation-building work. Together with our network of more than 4,000 angel investors, we're building a future that is better than the past, a future where entrepreneurs are surrounded by a community of support, people with access to capital, mentorship, and networks, providing businesses with the resilience they need to build their companies into the job creation engines of the future. Before I close, I'd like to share a story with you of an inspiring entrepreneur in our network, Bobby Reset. Bobby pitched to over 170 investors before receiving her first check for her company, Virtual Gurus, a talent-as-a-service platform for freelance workers. So after 170 pitches, it was her community that wrote that first check, one of our member organizations that invested in her company. Bobby would go on to raise $1.2 million in a seed round, and then a further round of $8 million of investment. And today, Virtual Gurus is valued at over $50 million and provides meaningful work to over 2,000 individuals. What an impact. And Bobby continues to inspire entrepreneurs that follow in her footsteps with her success. She fills them with that feeling that we all need, that they can do it too. As I mentioned at the outset, we find ourselves in extraordinary times, and we're at a critical moment as a nation. We need more entrepreneurs. We need to ensure that those entrepreneurs have the support that they need to succeed. And when I say entrepreneurship, this includes those in the creative industries, small businesses, and a wide range of people who are building local companies, building the local tech company, achieving great things in sports, arts, and film. All are builders. All of this drives economic growth. It drives national resilience. It makes us better as a country, a stronger country. It brings others along. It inspires us to do great things and enables us to grow as a community and as a nation. All of us in this room and at this event, and everyone who will be on stage this evening, has something in common. We love this country, we chose this country, and every day we stay here, build here, and grow here. We choose this country. We choose it for ourselves, for our children, and for our grandchildren. And I choose it for my 6-year-old Catherine and my 1-year-old Isabel. To the nominees and award recipients tonight, we celebrate you for all that you're doing for this extraordinary country of ours and for our community. Gracias, thank you everyone. Gracias de corazón. Thank you so much for being here.